So what I'm hearing from you guys is that you're feeling misunderstood and you're not feeling respected and you're feeling like there's this chaos in the family and you're just trying to get things done and you feel like she's not supporting you. Have I got that right?
Yes.
I'm wondering if maybe I can start with you. What other time in your life have you felt that way? Like before you guys were married, before the kids, before all of this, maybe when you were growing up, or if you had a previous serious relationship, have you ever felt like people were kind of after you or there was a lot of chaos around you?
I guess looking back, my parents, when they disagreed on something, it was always very loud and forceful and frightening to me when I was younger. And so my typical response when they were having an argument was to go in my room and shut the door and wait until I didn't hear yelling anymore. And then when it was over, it was safe to come back out and be a part of.
Yeah. But you had to kind of hide out in the midst of all of their storms.
Yeah.
Did you have siblings that didn't hide out, that kind of got in the middle of it and got in trouble a lot?
Yeah, my older brother was sometimes an instigator, and sometimes he tried to be a peacemaker between the two of them, but that was never my role in the family. I'm not cut out to do that kind of thing. It was always scary to me, so I just stayed away.
Yeah, and just pulled back, and that's kind of your way of trying to handle all of that.
Let the storm pass and then deal with it later.
Did you know that that was a painful experience for her growing up? Had you guys talked about that before?
I mean, I guess we haven't really sat down and talked about it, but, you know, knowing what being married and getting to know her family, I can see, I guess, sometimes when they're together and something happens, like if her parents even have a disagreement now, she, I can still see that she still does that. So
yeah. So you know her parents now; they're still living and they still are together.
Yes.
Yeah. What's your experience of her parents?
They're basically the parents that they're just different than mine because they're together and they seem to, they'll have disagreements, but they work it out, and they, even though sometimes it could get loud or something, they still sit in there and they work it out. So I always look at that as like, I think that's a really good thing for them.
Because they stuck together and they figured out how to stay married for a long time.
Yeah,
so you like that about them.
Yeah.
And your understanding of what it was like for her when she was 5 years old and that sort of thing. What do you think that was like for her?
I guess for her, the way she is now, I guess it probably was scary. Maybe she just didn't quite. Maybe she felt helpless, or she just didn't know what to do, and her only option was to just get away from it.
Yeah.
And I
hide out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like this is hard for you to kind of think about and talk about right now.
Well, yeah, because that was not my experience growing up. It's just,
what was yours?
My parents were never. I guess I would say if there's an opposite, my family was very opposite of hers. We, my dad was not a very loving person. He was a salesman. He was gone a lot. My mom, she had to deal with that, and they had a lot of problems. And sometimes I had to take care of my mom because my dad wouldn't be there, or I had to take care of my brother and sister because my mom would be passed out on the couch. My dad would not be at home.
Okay.
And
so passed out on the couch because of drinking, because of drugs, or sick? Or?
yeah, combination of drinking and just other things too, like prescription medication, and because she had a lot of problems.
Okay.
And I wanted to solve everybody's problems. I wanted to fix it, and be able to face it and like stand up. And
yeah. So did you make dinners and you made sure the kids got to school and all that?
I tried my best to do all of that as best as I could. And
you were the oldest?
I am the oldest.
You're the oldest, yeah.
And sometimes I still find myself taking care of my brother and sister today because because my mom's still struggling with some things, and my dad's no longer he's no longer here, but
did he passed away, or
he passed away.
He passed away. Okay.
Yeah.
When was that he passed away?
About 8 years ago.
Okay.
8-9 years ago.
Well, so you guys were together then when he passed away, or you were just getting together?
It was right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning of, it was not even a year of us being together yet when that happened.
Yeah. And your mom kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's, she's still not doing good, so.
Yeah. So did you understand that about his family? And maybe you kind of went through it a little bit, it looks like, because of right at the beginning of your relationship.
I'm sure I never understood the depth of it.
Okay.
Hearing him talk about it now, I hear that there's still pain there from that.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that he had a lot of pressure to take care of his family. But I didn't realize it was still a feeling that he had now.
Yeah. How are you guys doing so far in talking with me? You're already sharing some very personal things. You're already talking about some deep pains. How you doing right now? Just kind of a check-in.
I'm doing okay, but I'm kind of ready I'm ready to solve this now. I'm just and I understand why we have to do all this. This is the most that she's talked in front of me in a long time, so it's kind of refreshing. And at the same time, like I'm ready to fix this. So I don't know if we're heading in that direction or not, but.
Right, yeah. So you're looking for something really concrete that we can kind of like do this and fix it and do that and fix it. And,
because that's how it was growing up for me. That's just that's what I'm used to, and we're just ready to get it done, ready to solve it now. So.
Yeah. I feel that pressure. It feels like this internal pressure that you're like, this has been going on long enough. I need this in my history. Yeah.
It does. It is a lot of pressure. And
what if it doesn't get resolved quickly? What's it going to be like for you?
Well, it's difficult because it's kind of like I if it doesn't get solved quickly, it just makes me push even harder to get it solved. And honestly, I don't know, because there's probably, I guess, what you would call a breaking point or something like that, and it hasn't gotten there yet. But I'm kind of scared if it did get to that point. I guess.
So you've been kind of thinking, like, if things don't turn around soon and we don't get a better handle on this, and I don't feel more supported, and we don't like calm the chaos in the family that you're thinking that you don't know if this marriage is going to make it.
Yeah, and I feel bad for the kids too, because they're part of it too, and
Yeah. Is that where you're at on your side?
It's different for me because it's not as concrete.
Okay.
You know, I'm looking for some understanding and some sympathy and some more open lines of communication, and that I'm aware that that's a process and it's not something that is achieved quickly, which is okay with me, but I don't know if it's okay with him. So I don't want to be unhappy and struggling forever.
Yeah, you want some peace too.
Yeah.
It's a little more of a happy home.
Yeah.
But you're not thinking about, like, if this doesn't get solved soon, then I don't know if we're gonna make it. Like, you're thinking about separating or anything like that?
I like to think that it would never come to that, which is why we're here, but I don't know.
Okay, so you're not sure
Yeah.
at this point. All right. So, have you taken any steps as far as, like, consulted a lawyer or anything like that? Look for an apartment? Nothing like that? Nothing like that's going on with you guys? Okay.
No, yeah,
All right, so you're still in.
still in. Yeah.
You're still in the relationship.
I'm
You're
still in.
Still all in. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
I
see.
mean, that's again, I wouldn't want to be here unless I was. I don't want to. I don't want to end up like my parents. I don't. So I say, going back to what her parents, I like how they handle things. I do.
Okay.
I.
So, are there things like your parents? How is alcohol and drugs and things handled in your relationship, in your family? Either of you drink or use anything?
Socially drink, but not often.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's
That's it.
and for you too?
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
I went through a stage before we met that I experimented with things, but ultimately I kind of turned that part of my life around, because again I just grew up around it, and I don't want my kids to have to go through what I had to go through. I don't.
Okay. And so social drinking for you guys, just to check in, make sure I'm not missing anything, means 1-2 drinks, means 7-8 drinks, means, what does that mean for you guys?
I mean, if we're out with friends, 1 to 2.
Okay. That kind of thing. So there's not like a big binging thing going on or anything like that, at least not on a regular basis.
No.
Okay.
No.
So that's a big deal then. You've changed a pattern already in your family from your family, but you still see some of the other patterns besides the drinking and that sort of thing that you want to guard against
Yeah.
in your family now.
Yeah.
Okay. How are your kids doing? What are their ages? How are they holding up?
We have a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Okay.
And our 5-year-old is pretty unaware of the issues. Our older kids are, they see it, as much as we try not to fight in front of them, they can sense the tension. And
Do they talk about it with you, or do they not say anything?
I think they kind of wait for it to hit its peak and then calm down, and then they'll say, Mommy, why are you fighting with Daddy?
Okay.
And it's complicated to explain to them. So, yeah.
Okay. Are they holding up at school, having any problems, getting in trouble, or do we have any issues there?
I mean, they're just normal kids. I mean,
So far.
very, very smart.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
So particularly with your 13, 10-year-old, there's not like getting in trouble with school, their grades are okay, they're not isolating themselves in their rooms all the time, none of those things?
The only thing I've noticed is a little bit more disobedience toward us every now
Okay.
and then. So no problems at school necessarily or with friends or teachers, but you know, a lot of times if we ask them to do something, there's a hesitancy to obey, or there's a comment made or
Okay.
something like that. So
Okay. All right. So, is that one of your goals? Maybe is to try to work, or do you work together in parenting them, or do you feel like you work separately? Do you have conflict over that?
I mean, you know, I'd say I probably do the main disciplining in the family, and you know, but we're usually usually on the same page when it comes to disciplining our kids.
we try to
Okay.
do it together, but
Yeah.
Great. That's a great strength
they listen
because
to his authority more than mine.
okay,
So.
so that's more of attention is getting the 10 and 13-year-old to really kind of be there with you and following your directions. Okay. But that is a really great strength then, that you don't have a lot of blow-ups around parenting and you're not kind of like working at cross purposes for the kids and that kind of thing. It sounds like it's more about household responsibilities, like bills and that sort of thing. Is there other
Yes.
things that seem to blow up for you guys? Think of another big fight you might have had, or big conflict for themes.
I mean, our blow-ups are all pretty similar, but we have disagreements over our future here and over. I mean, we struggle because we're dealing with different things. You know, he's still in school. I'm being a stay-at-home mom for the time being, and so
Okay.
there's some sort of miscommunication there, and that causes disagreements or misunderstandings. But as far as blow-ups, it's mainly specific instances like the one
Yeah.
we told you about.
Okay.
So.
And how frequent are the big blow-ups like that one? Maybe a few times a month or more
frequent
than that?
we would like.
Yeah, you know, it's getting to the point now where you can expect at least once every week we're gonna, you know, something happens.
Have a big blow-up. Okay.
Yeah.
Over a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Usually it builds, you know, through the week, and then we hold things in and don't say anything, and then it all explodes and then resets.
Okay.
So
Okay. So things build up. You have a big blow-up. Something that's not the end of the world, but becomes a big blow-up. You know, so it blows up. Then you have this big fight with each other where you kind of are like, we need to solve this, we need to fix this, we need to do something about this, we need to, you know, make this happen. You kind of hunker down and weather the storm. You go off by yourself, you go off by yourself. Do you ever come back together later and like apologize or say something to each other about it, or do you just kind of keep going?
we just kind of
Keep going.
Yeah, just kind of keep going.
And
Like
that's-
it never happened almost.
Yeah, it just
Okay.
doesn't get resolved. You know, it would be very nice just, you know, one time just to get resolved. You know, like I don't know. You know, it'd be really nice. I would really like just to, you know, actually have an end to it instead of just acting like it never happened, because it's still, you know, we just never get things resolved, and it just keeps building on. So, like I said, I mean, it might, again, the breaking point, it might, you know, build up to that. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so that would be something I really would like to know a lot more about, actually, is what you would like to see happening. You know, so if a miracle happened and all of a sudden, you know, things were better, and you woke up tomorrow morning and all of these problems, these bad patterns, these cycles that you're stuck in, if they weren't there, they just didn't happen anymore, what would that day look like? How would you know things have changed between each other? Can you give me a little bit of thought about that?
Well, I know for me, it would just be, you know, do my everyday thing, you know, wake up, you know, but that we would have a clear sense of communication with each other, and you know that since I have my schedule, and you know, that you know, if I just asked her just to do something, that it would get done, and even if it didn't get done, even if it was the same thing, you know, that you know, she would give me a specific reason why, so I could understand, and that way, you know, I would be able to, I'd be like, okay, I understand, you know, couldn't get it done because, you know, you had to take, you know, our 13-year-old to soccer practice and you forgot, like,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that's okay, but you know, it would, or you know, I mean, even just giving me a you know, a good enough, you know, reason instead of, you know, just not saying anything about it.
Okay. So what I'm hearing there is two really important things. One, I'm hearing a sense of understanding.
Yeah.
So kind of like a camaraderie understanding, like we're in this together kind of
Yeah.
a thing. And then a second one is I'm actually hearing you say that you would kind of let her off the hook a little bit. Like that you wouldn't feel like you needed to fix it, but that you would have a sense of what we might call grace as Christians, you know, a sense of, hey, I know you forgot about it. I know you had you know, a rough day. You had a lot on your plate. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna hold this against you.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. I mean, you know, because I mean, I understand, you know, having 3 kids. You know, I know it gets hard, but you know, that's why, you know, I would totally. Yeah, I mean, totally give grace for that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And that you would feel free to do that, because it sounds like right
Yeah.
now you feel like if you don't like push it, you don't make it happen, she's not going to make it happen, so you can't offer grace because you're kind of in a lockdown situation in your cycle.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of hard to offer grace where there's, you know, I don't even know what to give grace for.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds better. How about for you? What would it look like if it was better?
I think if he cut me a little bit of slack, and saw that what I do is equally as important as what he does in a different way, so that when I can't get something accomplished, it's not because some fault of mine and I'm doing something incorrectly, but because something else came up that I had to take care of and it makes sense. And I would like open lines of communication as well, and I guess I just want to be understood, you know, like if I can't do something, I don't want to feel like when he gets home I immediately have to defend my actions as to why I didn't accomplish a certain goal.
Right.
So
Right. Because right now it's like conflict defense. So this would be a different kind of way of relating, where it would be communicating, understanding. You would feel respected. I bet you want to feel respected too. And then so there's a sense of respect. There's a sense of leeway and grace, and you know, if something goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. That sounds like a great goal. That sounds like a much better situation. Yeah. You're gonna say something? You had something?
You know, I totally, you know, I actually think that would be a really nice step. You know, just I guess mentioning grace. I'm just hearing that word a lot in this conversation. So, yeah. I mean, I guess I agree with that.
Yeah, what's your experience with that? I know you guys go to, you know, the local church here, and that's how you found out about me.
Yeah.
But what does grace mean to you? And people have very different. Some people don't even know what the word means. Other people have had a lot of teaching on it, so.
I guess with me, growing up, I never really experienced a lot of it. You know, because like I said, I was the leader. I was the one giving grace, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So you got tired?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the same thing now. I mean, it really is. It's funny that, you know, it's, you know, just dealing with the same stuff.
Yeah.
And I get tired, and I guess I'm maybe better at giving it than receiving it, maybe, since I'm just more used to that.
Yeah. And it sounds like maybe when you were growing up that the expectation was that everyone was going to give Mama grace, but it wasn't really helpful for her.
No.
Like,
yeah.
everybody let her off the hook. She didn't have to face the consequences of everything because you took care of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like grace to me.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty dysfunctional situation.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that can really mess up your feelings about letting somebody off the hook now because you were kind of forced to do it so much as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you hearing as he's talking about this, and that maybe something from his mom is still affecting him today? What do you hear? What do you notice about him? What's going on with him?
I think maybe he's tired of giving grace where he thinks it's not received and recognized and deserved. So whether or not the grace that he would give to me would be recognized or deserved, it's hard for him to give it because of his past experiences. Maybe he's tired of having to do that, but yeah. And for me, grace is, growing up, I grew up in the church, and, you know, Trevor came to Christ a little bit later in his life, so my parents always explained grace to me in the simplest terms of God had grace on us, and so we have grace on others. And so I still to this day don't fully understand it. I don't know that anybody really does understand why we have it and why we have to give it.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of confusing a little bit, and maybe sometimes it sounds like your experiences have been that grace is really just like letting somebody off the hook for something they really need to face the consequences for, and then other times it's, you know, maybe it is something that actually is a kind of a beautiful gift that you could give somebody, but that's not been your experience too much. Yeah. Okay. Makes a lot of sense.